Austraeoh by Imploding Colon, read by Deathlight, Chapter 123, Prism. Tell me, child, Queen Whitemane uttered while gracefully trotting forward. Do you know how the elements of harmony began?
I guess so.
Rainbow Dash nervously stumbled behind her. She gazed up with momentarily bedazzled eyes as the alicorn led the both of them into an open courtyard within the palace. The ceiling gave way to a violet sheet of twinkling cosmos as hanging gardens and blossoming trees glittered in the starlight.
I mean, they've always sort of been, right?
Everything has a beginning, Rainbow Dash, Whitemane said as she slowly paced past the gorgeous plant life. Just as everything has an ending, it is true that the immortals who came to this plane gave birth to the likes of me. It is also true for the greatest tool, the very fiber of their beings. She turned around and gazed at the Pegasus. You at least understand that this world was once all alicorns, correct? Rainbow Dash fidgeted with the sleeves of her robe.
Yeah.
But do you honestly believe that the alicorns began on this world? Rainbow bit her lip and said nothing. Whitemane brushed a hoof over the blossoming roses of a passing bush. Like you, I've had the barriers of time and mortality to challenge my understanding. But, like all families, my has long carried a tradition of huffing down knowledge to the lesser generations. What I tell you now is something meant only for alicorn ears, and the seldom few sorcerers of our time have been blessed to carry the burden of the truth. She pivoted around and faced Rainbow Dash with a gentle expression. The world was never created, it was found. Rainbow's ears folded back.
What? You mean like some pony else made it besides the alicorns?
Some pony, somebody, something. Whitemane took a deep breath. Not all truths of the universe have become understood in my kind. What we do know is that, hundreds of thousands of years ago, the alicorns arrived at this plane from their homelands. After a magical flight through the cosmos, they landed here and stopped to curiously study this incidental landscape. At first, it seemed to them as a seemingly innocuous phenomenon. But then, upon closer inspection, more forebears discovered life sprouting on its own. Suddenly, they had before them a place of unmeasurable worth. And as universal protectors of harmony, it was their duty to oversee the progress of this miraculous life. Whitemane turned and paced past the trees and blossoms once more. It was a joyful task, something that my ancestors reveled in. However, it was not a labor that could be accomplished easily. You see, this plane existed within a cloud of effluent chaos. As a result, the life that was growing here was threatened constantly by forces of destruction and agony. If the alicorns were to ensure harmony, they had to utilize all the energy in their possession. Essentially, they had to sacrifice themselves. But there was only so few of them, and this landscape was so large. They faced a dilemma, and they mutually understood that a grim decision faced them.
What kind of decision?
Let me ask you something first, Rainbow Dash. Whitemane smiled gently at her. What is the world?
Huh?
By definition.
If I knew that this would be a geography lesson.
Rainbow sighed and leaned against a marble border surrounding a patch of gardens.
From what class I primary taught schoolfillies like me ages ago? Well, for the classes I was awake in. The world is some sort of flat plane of matter hovering around chaotic space, and, we're protected by these huge bubble thingies called the ferrymen.
The firmaments.
Yeah, I meant to say that.
The firmaments surround the plane and keep the elements of physicality safe from the vacuum of space, and the chaos streams beyond. Whitemane explained.
Yeah, and like the sun and moon are controlled by the goddesses who light up the world, and safe and prosperous and all that fluff.
And is this both sides of the world? Wayman looked down to Rainbow Dash. Rainbow excelled and avoided the Queen's gaze. No, there is a bottom side. She gulped. A dark side. The dark side of the world. Wayman slowly nodded. The surface that never sees the sun or moon, that only knows twilight and shadows. That is forever pelted by the elements of chaos. You do realize, of course, that the dark side could very easily have been the lit half of the world? Rainbow looked up at her. It could? Wayman nodded. The dilemma that my forebears ran into was deciding which side of the plane to eliminate with their power. There were so few alicorns who settled here. The rest were either dwelling in the planes of harmony or exploring the furthest reaches of the universe. My ancestors couldn't rightly abandon this world. So they decided then and there to pool their resources and create the firmament so as to protect the life that they had discovered. Several of the alicorns made this sacrifice, forever transforming themselves into the energy that would act as the barriers against chaos, securing this land and its future for eternity. Those left alive, like the goddesses you know personally, stayed behind to monitor the cosmic bodies that would give illumination and meaning to this realm. I'm guessing, Rainbow Dash stirred as she murmured. There wasn't enough of them to do it to both sides of the plane. The Queen solemnly nodded. If they attempted to monitor both sides of the world, their resources would have been spread too thin. They knew that it was a grim decision to have made, because the side of the world untouched by their glory would forever be abandoned to the essence of chaos. But it was also a necessary choice, because if they had divided their powers, then the world as a whole would have not survived. That is why, to this day, we have a light side and a dark side to this plane, separated merely by the corners of the earth where they pierce the fabrics of the firmaments. So, where do the elements of harmony come into play? Rainbow Dash asked, fidgeting slightly with a pendant around her neck. Were they just a bunch of alicorns who morphed into magical bling? Wayman chuckled slightly. No, the elements belong to a fabric of energy that not even the alicorns could alter. However, they could channel and focus it. And the source of such vibrance comes from the planes of harmony, the homeland of all alicorns is spread across the universe. So, what brought the elements here then? Something that every group of alicorns carry with them as they seek out the furthest ends of the cosmos, to colonize and spread their glory. Wayman said, it is an object forever connected with the energy of the planes of harmony, and once wielded in the hopes of purebred alicorns, it can refract the beam of vibrance, and redistribute it to multiple vessels that embody the same power that protects this world. Yeah, Rainbow leaned forward, squinting. Can I have a name, please? The Harmonic Prism, of course. You mean you've never heard of it before? Why should I have? What other reason would a power immortal like you to make such a daunting trip to the Midnight Armory? Rainbow sighed and slumped down to her haunches. Because I'm bored? I don't know. This is hardly a topic to take lightly. Wayman paced towards her. The Harmonic Prism is what made the creation of the elements of harmony possible. Once the 6 elements were created, the prism's chief function was to act as a backup, to channel great power from the alicorn homelands in the planes of harmony, and recreate that which was lost. Now, Rainbow Dash, I know that there's much you know that you did not wish to confess to me, and I respect that. So I implore you to at least ask yourself this. Has something been lost that the Harmonic Prism can assist in recreating? Rainbow bit her lip, she gazed to the ground and slowly nodded. Wayman exhaled. I knew, before you even came here, that most, if not all the elements had been lost. But I also knew that the world would live on in spite of the destruction of the elements. It wasn't until I met you that I realized that one soul in all the world was attempting to do something about it.
You want to hear a confession?
Rainbow Dash muttered. She gazed up at White Mane with dull eyes.
I really don't give a crud if the harmonic prism thingy can recreate the elements of harmony or not.
She gulped and her voice wavered.
There's nothing in this world, light or dark, that can bring back what I want.
And yet you keep flying, you keep going, keep seeking the means to reach the Midnight Armory, where my ancestors placed the prism for safekeeping, as if it is the most important task they have to live for. Do you even know where the Midnight Armory is located?
Yeah, sure.
Do you truly? White Mane's pearl blue eyes narrowed as she trotted slowly towards the Pegasus. Do you know the lengths that are left to scale on the surface? The countless miles and stretches of the landscape, both forbidding and dangerous? Before you can even get halfway towards such a goal? Have you ever asked yourself why I haven't flown north or south? For they are way less lengthy journeys.
They'd also end up in me getting totally fried.
Because the friction between the chaos and the firmaments of the north and south edges of the world are too heated and tempestuous for any single body to even come close to. But do you think the barrier is any more forgiving on the east edge, Rainbow Dash? White Mane momentarily leered above her. I've seen the edge of the world with my own eyes. I was there 700 years ago as an alicorn foal, taken by my mother and father to witness the work that our immortal ancestors had constructed for the safety of this world. I saw the nebulous fountains of madness that erupted along the bleak precipice of everything. Even a goddess for the protection of magic would find it a perilous task at best to attempt navigating the hellish plummet in a bold but foolish attempt to make it to the surface of the dark world on the other side. And then, what would such an inhospitable landscape offer a pony? Much less a lone mortal such as yourself. Rainbow Dash said nothing, her wings tightly curled to her sides as she stared into the floor. White Mane continued. The dark world had been untouched, unvisited, and unseen by all civilization, mortals and immortals alike, for countless eons. It's a realm of darkness, suffering, and confusion. There are things there that live but do not know it, for chaos had blinded them for ages, forcing them to feed off pain like a second oxygen. To reach the Midnight Armory, a soul must not only scale the ends of the earth, but cross the diameter of a sunless, moonless horrorscape that is the dark world before the improbable goal can be met. Then, and only then, after having overcome inconceivable odds, will the adventurer even come close to getting her hooves on the harmonic prism.
If the stupid crystal was so important to the alicorns in every pony, Rainbow Dash finally mumbled, why lock it away in such a crappy place to begin with?
Because as horrible as the dark world is, it is not entirely consumed. Furthermore, the animated monstrosities that exist there has not summoned enough strength to attempt an invasion of the sunlit realm, and it is all on account of the prism's presence. White Mane's lips curved ever so slightly. As the elements of harmony were created to assist our world with prosperity, Rainbow Dash. The Midnight Armory was constructed as the means of preserving the one piece of good that could ever exist in the realm of chaos. So long as it exists, the Dark Realm possesses the tiniest fraction of good. It was the least the founding alicorns could do to make sure that there was a modicum of balance in this world that they sought to protect.
But the prism could refocus the elements of harmony into existence or whatever. Why put it so far away that it'd be impossible to reach?
You must understand, the Midnight Armory was constructed in a time where the elements were equally important to the maintenance of the Light Realm. Several eons have passed since then, Rainbow Dash. And in that time, the goddesses have imbued the prospering life of this world with the power of the elements themselves. In a way, the elements of harmony serve a fraction of the purpose that they ever once did. Ponies, in their own essence, are equally as important as the tools that the alicorns used to be. Surely, I do not need to convince you of this. You, one who have become the embodiment of one of the elements herself. Rainbow gulped, glanced towards the far end of the garden.
So, what you're trying to tell me is...
What I'm trying to tell you, to show you, to convince you, Rainbow Dash, is the elements of harmony, the physical trinkets that represent the power of my forebears, are no longer important for the absolute protection of this realm. You, however, are important. You're special, you're precious, you're one of a kind. Yes, you can finish this journey to the Midnight Armory. And, assuming you make it beyond all obstacles, you'll have the ability to recreate the other 5 elements that have been destroyed. But, what are the odds of you actually finishing such a journey?
Well,
It will kill you, Rainbow Dash. If not from the peril of the many continents left for you to cross between here and the eastern edge of the world, then most likely in the suicidal attempt to bridge the edge between the light realm and the dark side. And most assuredly in the treacherous death plains of the chaotic half of the earth itself. Rainbow took a deep breath. Your Majesty. And haven't mentioned that my ancestors built the Midnight Armory to be impregnable? Not even the horrible creatures of the dark side can enter its gates. And even if you get the prism from within, for it to be of any use to you in recreating the elements, you will have to journey back to the light realm. You will have to perform the same journey, the same lengths, the same perils and same risks, all the way back until you can hook the prism to a goddess alicorn of pure blood. All for the sake of recreating things that this world can prosper just fine without by this point in time. So I ask you once again, sincerely, why are you making this journey? A journey that can only end in your very own destruction. Rainbow Dash's lips quivered as she stared up at her. Her voice cracked as a foolish breath came out.
I can't tell you. You wouldn't understand. I have to make this journey. I don't care if you don't believe me. I don't care if something will grind me into a pulp before I even get to the edge of the world. I don't even care what the prism does or doesn't do. I just don't care.
She took a shuddering breath.
No single living soul has made it to the Midnight Armory forever, but I'm gonna change that.
But why you, Rainbow Dash? Whitemane leaned down and placed a hoof on the Pegasus' shoulder. Why must you be the one to change the future? Rainbow was trembling at this point. Her vision blurred, and when she blinked, she forced her tears back into hiding. She swore she saw a fluctuation, a tiny dance of lavender lights. She jerked her head to the side, gazing east, beyond the chambers and the halls of the palace. She saw nothing, and yet she saw everything. A smile cracked out of her, and she sniffed.
Because I'm sick to death of the past, she murmured. If I'm not moving forward, I'll just hate myself forever. So maybe something horrible happens to me. Maybe I run to the edge of the world and take a leap, and that's the end of my awesomeness forever and ever. So what?
She gulped and glared at Whitemane.
If I stay put, if I refuse to budge, then I know what's gonna consume me. And the last thing I wanted to do with my life was to let it end by something I could predict.
She stood up, frowning into Whitemane's face.
Would you do any different, no matter how old or how bored you'd be with everything?
Whitemane gazed in silent reflection. Eventually, she shook her head. No. She smiled. No, I suppose I wouldn't be any different. I would, instead, grant you a gift. Rainbow's eyes narrowed.
What kind of gift?
Shh. Whitemane's horn glowed as she aimed it slowly towards Rainbow's pendant. This is only gonna help you, child. Don't be afraid. Rainbow Dash merely smirked as she took a step back, relaxed, and closed her eyes to the glow.
Do you forget who you're talking to?
And the two of them were absorbed by a bright flash of light.